I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Big Show After Show. This is our last episode talking about episode 7 and episode 8. And of course, I am joined by my wonderful panel with me, the one and only Bryant Santos.
Hello, so glad to be here. I'm sad the show was over. It was so fun. I'm not really a sitcom fan, but I'm happy that I love this.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Emily May, we have you as well.
Hey everyone, I'm so happy to be here. I'm sad it's coming to an end as well. This is such a fun, heartwarming show. I miss it. I was laughing really hard on these last two.
Yeah, and with us, of course, Kelsey Meyer.
Hello, I'm right there with you guys, and I'm gonna miss you guys. This has been such a fun, packed couple days. I love it.
I hope you enjoyed our wrestling world, but I am listening.
I did.
And I am so excited to be here with you guys. Maybe now you can get into wrestling.
I know.
Yeah, we're all gonna have to go to a show after.
Yeah.
We all can be together again.
Yes.
You got a little bit of what they really do. You know, it's not obviously everything isn't really how it goes, but you got an idea of what the Big Show does. But let's go ahead and start with overall thoughts. Emily, I want to know, what were your overall thoughts on these last two episodes?
I mean, I feel like these last two episodes kind of summed up the whole experience of kind of what Big Show has to go through, like in any type of like artist or performer, or anyone really balancing life and balancing work and following your dreams and, making your family happy as well as yourself. So I feel like it was super sweet, and I felt like it gave me like the warm fuzzies, because it was very heartwarming, and I loved like the family bonding and the fact that they all came together.
Yeah, for sure. I have to agree with you. Kelsey, what were your overall thoughts?
I just feel like this whole season has been all about like genuine and real life lessons that everyone can take away, and especially these last two episodes, like Emily was saying, was all about, balance. Everyone, even if you're a professional or ex-professional wrestler, it's still about balance, so I really liked that. And I liked the finale.
Yeah, me too. Brian, what did you think of the way they incorporated wrestling into these last two?
I loved it. I loved seeing the Big Show's little, autograph signing turned wrestling matches with several different people. That was so fun. All the little like bumps they took, the scoop slam, it was so fun. What I did think was interesting was the fact that they kind of saved, I guess, a major conflict for like the last episode. It was the big conflict between Big Show and his family, which we were kind of like teetering on some conflicts the whole season, but we didn't really get anything like that big except until this last final episode. So definitely interesting that they did that, but I of course loved how it all ended with a nice little bow and everything was happy, and so I just loved it. It was a great season.
Yeah, I have to agree with all of you guys. I think one of the things that was definitely surprising for me was, Lola came from Minnesota. She was super homesick, and then we see, of course, the Big Show surprise her with her best friend, and she starts to get some ideas. So, Kelsey, what were your thoughts when the best friend came in and she was kind of convincing her to move back?
I knew deep down, I was like, Lola's, even if she says that she's going to go for it, I was like, she's not going to go for it. She's built this relationship with these people here and her family here. I mean, what I loved the most was seeing a little sensitive side of JJ, which you don't ever get to see, that was huge for me. I was like, oh my gosh, she's serious and sensitive and actually cares. But I think that the whole time, right? So I knew deep down Lola wasn't going to move. She was kind of just like teetering with the idea, like, playing with it a little bit, but I was like, she's not leaving, she's staying put.
But I loved how JJ did the beautiful video, but she did it but with humor. Again, she balances the humor and sensitivity and kind of heartwarming, she's like a little softie. So
I thought it was definitely cute how she incorporated all of these huge life changes, her going to college, her having a baby,
things that happen like over 30 years. You're like, oh, we're gonna miss all those because you move away.
Harvard.
Right. I think she really made it seem like she was never gonna see her sister again, but it was definitely cute. Speaking of videos, we do see this commercial. We can't move forward without talking about Cassie's commercial. So Bryant, give me your thoughts on this commercial and how she can sell any house that's out there.
I absolutely loved it. It was a perfect way to open the show because it was just so funny. And from a business perspective, like I have a business degree, and that is so smart to kind of take that idea and run with it. That's kind of how she built her business around the fact that she
Mhm.
does these like unorthodox or like things that people wouldn't usually sell, and she's running with it. So I love that so much. It was a fun commercial. And JJ, of course, our comic relief as usual, she's like, can you change your outfit? And she's like, okay, never mind. So it was,
It
and I
was
loved
good.
it. It was perfect.
Emily, what were your thoughts
Yeah.
on her incorporating her children into this? Because it obviously has been working for her.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. So for me, like as a producer, when I looked at it, I felt like it was like one of those local commercials that you see,
Mhm.
for the car dealership or, some type of local business. So I felt like it's a family business, like it's her being open and like incorporate, and the kids were so hilarious. So it not only brought in again the humor and kind of down to earth nature of this family, but of course, now you have like Big Show in the commercial too. So it just but
Right.
they did it in a this is one way to get the family involved without them like destroying anything. So
Yeah.
So true.
and messing
So
up a
true.
house. So it's one of those things that I'm like totally on board and I would totally be in this commercial.
I loved it. And another thing that I love is the fact that, obviously, like Brian said, from a business perspective, if your husband is the big show and he's going to be joining you in that commercial, best believe your
Mhm.
clients are going to be calling. And she even said we're
Mhm.
sliding into her DMs. So
I know.
Exactly.
This is
something
And
what
worked.
Channing Tatum
yeah.
must feel like. I
I
was like,
Yeah.
know.
yeah.
And from like a marketing perspective, it's smart that she just embraced the haunted house
Mhm. Yeah.
kind of whole business that she that was her first big house that she sold on her own. And so she's like, you know what, I'm gonna just embrace the fact that I sell these like off the wall kind of, like rejected properties that no one else
Right.
could sell. So she's like, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. And that's kind of what it's very symbolic of what wrestling is. It's like you kind of embrace the weird and embrace the like, you know, off
The
the lane
quirks.
kind of
I
stuff
love
and
it.
quirky stuff
Yeah.
and you just go for it. So I
Of
felt like it
course.
fit really well.
Yeah, I think so too. Kelsey, were you surprised? Because for a while we thought that Lola was really going along with this whole moving situation. Her friend really seemed to convince her, and she was going to have the conversation with Cassie and her dad, but it didn't happen. Were you surprised to hear that she wasn't going to move anymore?
No,
No?
no, no. She. I'm telling you, she never had me fooled. I was like, Deep down, I
Really?
knew she. No, I really didn't think she was gonna leave. I was like, there's no way. How would this play out
Mm-mm.
if she left? Like, there's
Yeah.
no way. Someone's gonna convince her to stay. I wasn't convinced. I didn't think she was gonna leave. It was like, no,
Yeah.
they now mean too much to her.
Does anyone disagree?
No, I feel like
No?
we needed no, I mean, I agree. I feel like we needed a few moments of her maybe doubting it and kind of missing
Mhm.
missing the
Mhm.
prom and missing those moments that
Yeah.
every senior is going to be really, love and want to be involved in.
Of
But
course.
I feel like she acted out in these episodes because she
Mhm.
wanted to be with her dad. She wanted to
Yeah.
experience these
Mhm.
things with him.
Mhm.
And so I feel like that was eventually more important, and she just had to admit that kind of
Yep.
to herself
To
first
herself.
Right.
Yes.
to come to terms with that.
Yeah, I definitely thought, that it was too fast for her to just be like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. So it was
Mhm.
interesting to see, wow, she said yes really fast. Obviously, I think it was just a spur of the moment. She was like, okay,
Mhm.
sure, going along with her best friend. But I think we all do that. We go along with our best friends all the time. And then last minute, once we really think about it,
Totally.
we're like, okay, that probably wasn't the right decision. Let me take a
Yeah.
step back and really reevaluate what I want to do.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead. We obviously see that she doesn't move back. She stays with her family. Let's move on to another sibling who's not having a good time either. Lola was having a good time with her best friend, and then she was good. But Mandy is not having it. She is faced with this debate that she has to have with her boyfriend Taylor Swift, and it's not part of their plan. Brian, what were your thoughts when they had a debate and it obviously did not turn out pretty cute?
I know. Honestly, I just want them to be honest. Like, why can't they just tell the truth? I mean, it finally came out, but it's just so funny how there's so much runaround. They're like, okay, let's just have this other plan. Like, there's just so many layers that keeps
Mhm.
adding on, and they're like trying to go around it so much, but they can just face it head on, which thankfully they finally did. But it was great to see the kind of back and forth. Of course, Taylor Swift using "We Are Never Getting Back Together" was just
I know.
Oh
iconic.
my god, of
um,
course.
Like, are you
funny.
kidding me?
And yeah, it was just perfect. And I loved how Mandy came out on top. Of course, she won, and it was the perfect way to end.
Yeah, for sure. Emily, what were your thoughts on this teacher? That was very interesting, I'll say.
The teacher was wanting to have this debate, like it was a big thing, and trying to moderate this debate. He thought that it was going to be a big knockout fight, and spat and argument, but it wasn't. They were all agreeing with each other until that end.
Yeah.
So he's a little quirky, and he's kind of that quirky teacher that got assigned to do this but doesn't really want to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's one of those funny characters you have in these types of shows.
Right. And he's a principal, so when you're the principal, you kind of have no choice but to do these types of things. So
Yeah,
I
so
thought it
he's
was
like,
True.
yeah, usually it's like the PE teacher, like the
Yeah.
Right.
leadership teacher or something that's
Yes,
like or
always.
government teacher that's in charge of these debates. So it's funny that it was the principal.
Yeah. Kelsey, how did you feel about having the whole family there together and the Big Show showing up and being a little disruptive during this debate?
That was pretty funny. I liked how no one really even acknowledged it at the end. Like when he pulled Cassie into her or
Yeah.
into him, she was kind of like, "Oh yeah, okay." It was like he smashed his way through, and they're all like, "Yeah, we're used to this." But I thought it was so
Yeah.
sweet. They're all supporting her, and then yeah, obviously it did not end cute, like you said, but
No.
Yeah.
it was cute. It was cute to see them. I mean, they're such a supportive family. It's awesome
Yeah.
to watch.
They definitely are, and I think it was hilarious how he shoved one lady away, and
I know.
when he sat down, he had to push that person forward because I'm sure his
Yeah.
knees are super big, and he did not fit in that small little
Yeah.
hallway.
Yeah.
But another interesting point is that even though Mandy's relationship ended and she was really heartbroken, there was good news for her. It ended in the fact that she actually won. She's lower
Mhm.
school president now.
Yeah.
So she has that power. Bryant, how did you feel about, her actually winning?
I was so happy, and it was the perfect way to kind of just turn things around for her because, of course, she was sad, and I had a little funny moment where she was like, "I don't want to hear the results," because she thought that she was going to lose,
Mhm.
because of course
Mhm.
Taylor Swift just pandering to the people, his popularity. He's
Taylor
like, "Let's
Swift.
do this.
I mean,
Let's
that
start
name.
arson."
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
right? Arson, I
So
know.
that was hilarious. But of course, it really showed the fact that, when you have just a strong campaign, or if you just have the right like principles and values, that people will really see that. So when she kind of had the end, she got the good debate, ended on the good note, she kind of won it. Everyone was like, okay, I
Mhm.
see. She really is the right fit to be president, and it worked out for her in the end. So I loved it. So hopefully she gets another
Yeah.
love story in season 2.
Yeah,
I
right.
Yeah, I mean,
know.
she stayed true to herself, and that was what
Mhm.
one of the lessons in this episode was she stayed true to herself. She stayed true to her values, even though it compromised and kind of messed up the relationship she had with Taylor. She was like, you know what? It's more important for me to do what's right with my other students, my fellow students, than it is to just kind of go along with something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah.
a testament to like her feminism and too, because like she's so
Mhm.
strong-willed, and she's like, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put myself first. I'm gonna put like the right foot forward and do the right thing,
Yeah.
as opposed to making my emotions, my relationship kind of overshadow. So I love that.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
me too. And I think it was also, I love to see the fact that her character is actually someone that we can relate to. When you're actually
Totally.
running for school president, you have to make reasonable changes. Obviously, Taylor Swift's idea of having a candy bar is not going to be something realistic. So I love the
No.
fact
Mhm.
that they were very transparent with that. And even though he was like more of the popular kid, she was making changes for the good of her fellow
For the
students.
good.
And
Mhm.
yeah, it really worked out. So Kelsey, did you
Mhm.
like the fact that she won based on her principles and what she believed in?
Heck yeah, of course I did. That was great. I mean, I think we all said it. It was
Yeah.
just like she's a little feminist, and I love it. And we can all
Yeah.
relate to her. And she, yeah, stuck true to what she believed in and her morals and her values. And yeah, I was so happy to see that the show kind of proved, okay, if you do this and you're a good person, then you can succeed. So I loved
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I love that this is like one of the lessons they're teaching in
Mhm.
this show is to
Mhm.
stand up for what's right, to stand up for what you believe in, and that's so important. And I feel like anyone really watching this is gonna get that out of this.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. She did end on a good note. So now let's go ahead and move on to some a little bit more fun. We did see the Big Show return to the ring, and we all had an idea that that was going to happen. Of course,
We did.
originally it was going to be a contract signing, not a contract signing, I'm sorry, an autograph signing, to raise money for the Boys and Girls Club. But JJ had another idea in mind, and Terry as well. So, Bryant, were you surprised to see that once they got to the gym, there was a wrestling ring in there and they were going to have a matches instead?
I was, and it was really interesting because, of course, we talked about JJ being this sidekick and this kind of Wrigliner where she just has these
Yeah.
wild ideas. But it was interesting that she kind of worked with Terry in that aspect. We talked about this in the last episode that we kind of want to see more of him, and what his relationship is with like the family and what he actually does for the Big Show. So that was really interesting to see that he, I guess, kind of took on that like managerial role. And then,
Yeah.
of course, it segues straight into episode 8 where Big Show got back in the ring, but we'll talk about that. But just it was really interesting to see JJ and Terry working together, and then the Big Show just, like I said, doing all those fun bumps.
Yeah, and I think this really made Big Show realize that he really missed being in the ring. So, Kelsey, how did you feel about him, being so excited to wrestle, beating all the other guys, and finding out that he just loves wrestling so much that it really is his life?
It was cute. I almost felt like I was expecting something like this a little bit. It's like he had to learn a lesson for himself, and he's learned like little ones throughout, but this was like his huge kind of like life change lesson that has happened throughout this season. So I kind of knew. I was like, okay, something like this is going to happen, and then he's going to realize that it's not what it is anymore, and it used to be that way. So I was not surprised to see him get excited and be like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't done this for forever and I miss it so much and I'm going to jump back in." Yeah.
Emily, since you're a producer, I know you're all about how everything looks. So did you like the way the ring was set up, the wrestlers, the commentators? They even have commentators, a ring
So
announcer.
good.
I
Of
mean,
course,
it
Terry was all
was
of that.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like it's one of those small, like you're doing a charity show. It's in a small like gymnasium. It's in the gym. So again, it's not going to be like full on TV production quality, but it's for the fans. You get like a up close and personal look at everything. I've been to shows that are in, you know, in gymnasiums up to like the Staples Center. So like when you have a wrestling show, it's a wrestling show, and so you're telling stories and you're connecting with fans, and so that's the number one thing. And so it doesn't matter really if it's in a gym or not. So I loved it. I loved how Terry was like the ring announcer, and people kept like jumping in, and of course Big Show has to make a big splash and take down his opponents. So I feel like it was super fun, and I love how it's getting represented on a show like this on Netflix.
Yeah, for sure. I think after watching Terry be involved with the family so much in the Big Show, I really grew to love his character. He's definitely
Me too.
unique. He's very funny. He brings out a different side of the Big Show in a way where he can just be himself and they talk about anything and everything. So I really loved seeing Terry on this whole season, and let's hope there is a season 2 so we can get to know a little bit more about him. But obviously, the family is there to support him. Bryant, I want to know your reaction when he made his big announcement that he's returning to WWE.
Echoing Kelsey, I kind of saw it coming. That was basically going to be his big revelation. The whole season, they've just been teasing it like, what's his next move? What's his next move? And it was definitely a lesson learned that sometimes you think that you have to go backward, but you have to move forward, So he was like, I want to go back to the good old days, but it's obvious that it kind of wasn't what he really wanted to do. He has kind of this new lifestyle. His family is his number one priority. So it was definitely, I wasn't surprised to see it because I knew that that's something that he was doing for so long and he's so passionate about. So it's obvious that the fire is still 100% there, but he kind of knew that it wasn't the route that he fully wants to take on full time anymore. It was fun and it was a great run, but now it's time for something else.
Kelsey, without moving into episode 8, what was your reaction? Could you relate to the family and them really not having much to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, from especially like Cassie's point of view, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You just told me and encouraged me to start this business, my own business, and now you're leaving me and leaving me with all these responsibilities? Like, oh heck no." So yeah, I was kind of on their team with that, and I don't think. I mean, obviously, Big Show didn't realize what like he was doing and saying and how it would affect them in the moment. And I think that was all their point of view. It was like, hello, you have to think about us. So I felt badly for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Emily, have you ever been in that situation where your husband hasn't really communicated anything with you and then you're kind of shocked with this big announcement?
100,000,000%. No.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's always things that, like, when you're really busy, things like fall through the cracks, and then you hear, oh, I have like 14 shows on Saturday, and you're like, oh, okay. No, but it's one of those things that, like, you have to be open, and like you can't just spring it on someone, especially
Yeah.
live in front of an audience. So you got to be open.
Yeah, for sure. But let's go ahead now, move into episode 8 because that was really the big episode. It's the last
Mhm.
episode, and that took us into this whole journey where they are really in the ring. He's making his comeback and he wants to have his final retirement match. So let's go ahead and start with you, Emily. And this time, Cassie, they begin with their pros and cons, and Cassie was like, well, if that's your dream, then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all of like Cassie had pros and cons, Lola brought up like her driving test, like she,
Mhm.
like you're supposed to teach me how to drive. So like all of them had, you know, um things to bring up that are like, no, you need to help me with this. And so
Mhm.
it's hard because when you have that type of dream, and it is an intense, like you're on the road all the
Yeah.
time and you have so much to do, and it's not even just being on the road. You have to train, you have to prep,
Mhm.
you have meetings, production meetings. So it's a more than a full-time job, and so you
Mhm.
have to, so there's that sacrifice that you're making of missing important things. Like
Yeah.
I've like literally personally, we've already had conversations of like, oh, there's certain things we're gonna have to miss if we have a show
Right.
or if we have this going on. And
Right.
so it's a
Mhm.
real life situation, just like
Yeah.
in it with
Mhm.
anything, with any job, you're gonna have those discussions. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
um I love how they had their pro and con chart. I might do that in my household now because I like how they
Right?
did it with
Right?
Right.
little hearts
Faces,
and
yeah.
faces and
Yeah.
stuff. It's
It's
super cute.
cute.
Mhm. Yeah, like you said, I think it was really important, for viewers to actually see it's not just a show, it's not a one day thing. It's really it takes over your whole life.
Mhm.
Wrestlers really work hard, and it's the families that really have to sacrifice a lot more as because, it's easy for someone to say, I'm gonna go ahead and fulfill my dream, but everyone else is
Right.
the one that's kind of having to deal with everything. So it's
Mhm.
interesting to see the way they combine that into the show because it really is a reality. But Kelsey, who did you connect with more in regards to the daughters and the pros and cons list?
JJ and the dog.
Really?
That's who I connected with. I was like, "You go, girl." So I totally connected with, I mean, his family being like, "Hey, we're gonna miss you." I mean, I thought it was really cool of Cassie to be like, "If this is your dream, go follow your dreams." Um, I think that was very big of her, but yeah, I mean, if I were the kids, I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I thought we've moved on from this. Like, this is in the past. You can't do this again." Um, so I felt for them. I
Yeah.
understood where Big Show was coming from, but I felt for them.
Yeah, I think the biggest reaction was definitely in Lola. So, Bryant, would you have felt as upset as Lola did, when she kind of broke out and was like, this is all your fault. I wanted you to be here. And she moved all the way from Minnesota just to be closer with her dad.
Right.
Definitely. And when I was watching it, I was kind of thinking that her reaction was more for like the driver's test, which was of course a good reaction. But when I thought about it
Mhm.
more, and of course she acknowledged it, she's like, that's not really the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the fact that she moved all the way over here for her dad, and
Mhm.
it's to spend time with him. I feel like she definitely had a lot of room, and she was justified in feeling that way because
Totally.
it was such a big life change for her, and now he's kind of just throwing a wrench in it. And I think it's also alluding to the fact of what just happened last episode. It was like, hey,
Mhm.
if you're gonna just pick up and leave, I should have just picked up and picked
Yeah.
up and left. So
Y-
that was a really
yeah.
big thing.
Yeah, there was a
For
lot of
sure.
undertones there where like and
Yeah.
Mhm.
subtext where she's saying one thing but she really is meaning another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it
Mhm.
was an emotional kind of outburst that I think was needed because Big Show needed to hear it.
Right. So let's go
Absolutely.
ahead and talk about everyone's journey throughout this, big change. Obviously, Cassie has to deal with her business, and we kind of see a little. Someone came back, and I don't know if you guys are happy about it. I was a little bit annoyed, but Kelsey, you're shaking your head. What were your thoughts to see,
I was so
her
annoyed.
ex-assistant back?
I was so annoyed, and I think it like proved itself in the end. I mean, kind of once a little sneak is always a sneak, right? It's like he did her so dirty. That was
Yeah.
so like it wasn't like a little thing that's like, oh, I can forgive you. We can move on if you prove yourself. Like, no, it was awful. So I was kind of shocked to see that she pretty easily took him back just so
Yeah.
that he would help her with stuff. But it also showed how much help she did need because Big Show had
Mhm.
left. So it kind of filled that void for her, which then, of course, I think at the end she realized. But I was like, no, what? Don't take him back so easily. He sucks.
I know. I think it was hilarious the fact that he had to change his name
Oh my
to get her
God.
attention and for him to show up. It was definitely one of my
He's
favorite
so
moments.
annoying.
I know. It's one of those things. It's like the sidekick that will never leave.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
The best line too
But-
was when she sent him off because or she was using the name and he's like, in the words of my idol RuPaul, sashay away, and I was like,
I
"Girl!"
I know.
Exactly.
I love that too.
Hilarious.
Exactly.
Yes.
Emily,
So good.
Kelsey did make a good point. The fact that Cassie actually took him back really easily. Do you think she was kind of just really desperate for some help, and that's why she just took him as her assistant?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just a familiar territory. She knew him. She was like, okay, I know that he can do a good job, but I honestly don't think that she should have accepted him and forgiven him that quickly because he got her fired. Like that's a huge thing. And so I think it was an interesting storytelling device to have him come back and kind of added another fun, a fun element and some chaos. But I don't think that in real life this person would have taken him back.
Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't have. That's for
Oh,
sure.
no,
for sure.
me
I
neither.
wouldn't. I would have been like, boom, bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Especially if he got me fired, I'd be like, no, I've had to go through so much just because you're selfish and you wanted to be closer to your dad, which obviously that
Yeah.
did not even work out well.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's gross. He's snaky.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Nikki, we do know that JJ is up to something. I knew she was going to be up to something. And we see her get a dog from this old lady that was moving to Miami. So, Bryant, what were your thoughts when JJ revealed to Mandy that she got a dog?
It's so funny because she literally just does, like we always mention, she just does these random off the wall things like, oh yeah, just the old lady's moving, so I just grabbed her dog. I'm like, girl, so funny. But it was great, and she handled it very, very well. Of course, she was trying to hide it, and they were using the whole idea that Big Show was allergic. So she was like, man, I really want a dog, but my dad's allergic, and it was just definitely such a kid thing to do. Like, like they still want to do the right thing, but at the same time, it's like I also want what I want, So it was really interesting to see that.
Kelsey, what were your thoughts on Mandy and her being a really bad liar? And she obviously, her stomach hurts every time she has to lie.
Her ulcer, I was like, of course. She's so type A. She like has to do everything by the books, right? Every time she would lie, she'd be like, ow, ow.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I like the initial when she's carrying the bowl of water upstairs and her mom's like, I don't even have time to unpack this right now. Like, carry on. And you know the girl's like complex, right? She's like, I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of this and I don't have time. So that was cracking me up.
Yeah, for sure. Emily, do you think the girls pulled it off well when they're trying to hide this big secret from their mom?
I mean, I think they pulled it off at first. They, they did pretty well. But again, it's one of those things when you're trying to, like, moms know everything. So you're going to, and they find out things eventually. So you can only hide it for so long. So I found it really funny that they, and a dog is not one of those things you can just hide really easily.
Exactly.
You got to feed it. It's going to have to go for a walk. You're going to have to, it's going to have to poop. Like it's a whole thing. So it's not like it's like a hamster or a rabbit or something small where you could kind of hide it. Maybe it's a dog. So I thought it was so funny. And, JJ's always up to some trouble, which I find entertaining. She's just so has this little devilish streak and I love it.
I think my favorite line from her was like, I do a lot of things that mom says that I shouldn't do.
Yeah,
It was-
Yeah. And Big Show and Cassie, they know that she's trouble. So
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, oh man, when
I
she
love
gets
that they
older,
embrace that though. Yeah.
yeah, they do embrace it.
They totally
It was-
do.
It's so cute. But let's go ahead and talk about Bennett again because he's obviously manipulating this whole situation and takes advantage of the girls. Bryant, what were your thoughts on his idea and how he's pretty much using the girls to do his own chores?
Yes, well, like Kelsey said, he's like a snake. Literally, he just showed more
Mhm.
snaky behavior, taking advantage of these poor children. Like he's not only getting paid from Cassie, but now he's making the kids do his chores just because they have a secret. So he is just so toxic. But it was just so funny to see the girls like what they were willing to do to keep this secret, you know? So they're like, fine, I guess
Yeah.
I'll do the dishes and I'll fold my dad's
Totally.
dirty underwear or whatever it is. So it was hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious how he was like, it's a two-person,
Two-person
situation
job.
because
Yeah.
because
That
I'm
was
sure
good.
Big Show's underwears are really cute.
Huge.
But meanwhile, while this is all going on, Lola is trying to get her driver's license with an interesting person.
Oh
Her
my gosh.
instructor is Coach Ferner. Kelsey, what were your thoughts on this whole situation and how she's kind of caught in between a divorce?
You knew he'd come back eventually, right? They
Right.
prepped his character too well to not come back. I like that he's everything. He's the driving instructor, the hockey coach, the PE teacher. Cracked me up. But yeah, putting her in the middle of that whole divorce, and then it finally gets her to crack though. She's like, no adult is giving me the attention I need, basically.
Yeah.
So in a way, I was almost like, maybe that's what she needed. She needed to realize that, and come out. But I couldn't believe that when he was like, take a left, take a left. And it's like, oh, come on, just teach her how to drive.
I know.
Exactly.
The
cracking me
craziest
up.
driving test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Lola did help him get his money back for from some store. Emily, were you surprised the fact that he failed her at the end?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed that he was still being
rude.
that type A teacher where he's like, I'm still gonna
Yeah.
follow the rules. You would think he would hand her a bone and just be like, all right, you're good.
Mhm.
Don't do that again. And first of all, I feel like she was on the side of the road when she was talking on the phone.
I know.
Yeah,
maybe
it
she
seemed
Yeah.
like
agreed.
it.
I thought
Yeah.
that too.
But
I was like, she pulled over.
Yeah, she did.
but maybe she, but he still marked her off for it. So
Mhm. I think he just did it to be annoying and not give her
Yeah.
what
I
she
agree.
wanted.
I agree.
I'm
No.
I'm
I agree.
traumatized because I failed the California driver's test 3 times. So
Oh,
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. I felt my
Bryant,
written,
please
not
tell
my
me you're driving with a license.
yes, I have.
okay.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
My original
maybe it's a
license.
good thing we're working from home, so you don't have to
I
drive
know.
anywhere.
No kidding.
Everyone
That's
be
so
aware
funny.
when Bryant's on the road.
Yeah, Bryant's like PTSD.
3 times.
Oh my God.
That's
funny.
crazy. But meanwhile, this is all going on. Your Big Show's still trying to follow his dream, and he's training with his new manager, Terry.
Oh God.
Kelsey, what did you think about this whole situation and how he kind of got hit in the head?
You knew something was gonna happen. I mean, it's Terry. It's Terry and Big Show, and something always happens between the two of them. Like they can't ever do anything correctly, right? So he
Mhm.
smacks him in the head. I like it was like he wasn't even close to being prepared, right? He was like
I
his
know.
arms were down by his side and it was straight to
Nope.
the noggin, but it
Oh,
was what Big Show needed, I guess.
Yeah.
he needed a knock in the head.
He needed a knock in the head to realize what he was missing. So
That's how you know the
it
power
worked.
of a steel chair. Obviously, Emily, it took him to a dream that was kind of a nightmare. So what were your thoughts on him realizing through this dream that something was up in the house?
Yeah, I mean, it was so he had this little dream sequence. It was like the Christmas Carol of Big Show wrestling, right? So again, he's seeing the effects. He's seeing the effects of what his life would be if he obviously, continued with the WWE. And so I loved it. I feel like this was a really effective storytelling device, and
Mhm.
it was like his subconscious coming out and really telling him
Totally.
and showing him the answers that he needed I feel like he already knew, but it was just
Right.
like reiterating like, hey,
Mhm.
this is the effect you're going to have on your kids and your family if you do this.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a reality check, but it led us to the main event. That's what I'm gonna call it. We see
I
a
Yeah.
love
match
it. I
with the
love it.
family and him reuniting. Bryant, what were your thoughts on all these characters and the main event at the house?
It was the perfect way to end the episode and the
Mhm.
season. It was
It's perfect.
amazing. Seeing JJ in that bald cap,
Oh
like,
my
was
Yeah.
gosh,
so
I
just
know. That was
Little
perfect.
show.
the best.
That
Yes,
was
little show.
brilliant. I literally had to
Yes.
stop for like 5 minutes to just crack up laughing from that.
Well,
That
it's
was
like you're
amazing.
waiting
That
for
little
her.
show.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
I
like, wait,
know.
where's JJ? What's that? And then that was perfect.
And the dog with the ref shirt.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I was like,
Mhm.
I was like, I want to clear out my living room right now.
I know.
I think it was definitely cute how the fact that they even included like his theme song with her singing it. It was adorable. I really loved it. What did you think, Kelsey, of the other two girls and their characters and how, Lola came out with her hockey gear on and I don't know what Mandy was.
Mandy, I was like, was she like an ice skater? Was she a dancer?
I don't know.
I don't
I
know
don't
either.
know.
I was
She
trying to
had the
figure it
ice
out.
skating vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. But then she had like the ballet slipper. Whatever it was, I loved it. It was cute. It was like the two of them against dad. But then I was like, wait, it's JJ? Because originally I wrote it on my notes. I was like, okay, girls against dad. And I was like, wait,
Mhm.
where's JJ? She's about to come out doing
Yeah.
something, and then she comes down the stairs. It was such a cute moment. I loved it, and I
Oh my
like that
gosh.
Cassie's announcing it like the girls are taking him
Yes.
down. That was the best. That was the
Yeah, I
best.
loved the creative names that Cassie had as
Mhm.
the ring announcer
Yes.
as for their
Yes.
entrances. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
She was living
cute.
for it. She was doing well.
I know. It was definitely a cute moment. And like Brian said, it was a perfect way to end this season. It left me wanting more. So I want to go with you, Emily. Were you satisfied with this whole series and how it kind of played out?
Yeah, I mean it's one of it's one of these like lighthearted fun
Hmm.
shows that we needed right now where you could just laugh, you can kind of because we're all spending time reconnecting with our families right now. I feel like it was
Mhm.
the perfect show
Mhm.
to watch right now and I loved it. It was one of those things you can have it on, you can watch it. I'm going to rewatch some of the episodes just cuz I enjoyed them so much and
Yeah,
Cute.
I absolutely loved it, and it brought me just joy to just watch.
for sure. Brian, did this change your view of the Big Show by any chance?
Of course, it was definitely such an interesting thing to see. And I mean, just in his entire career, I'm sure he's done it at one point, but just being a wrestling fan, I haven't seen him do anything really, really comical. He's been that
Yeah.
big,
Mhm.
giant character, super towering over everybody and just so dominating. So to see him play something so fun and, like Emily said, lighthearted, and it was such a great thing to see. And I loved that they incorporated so much aspects of wrestling. So that was just perfect for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Big Show always plays really serious characters, and so to see
Mhm.
him, especially like sitcom comedies and the format are very difficult to
Oh
Yeah,
pull
yeah.
off.
Oh yeah.
And if you haven't done this type of work before, it can be really difficult. So I'm so impressed by Big Show and what he did in this whole season.
I
yeah,
felt
for
like it
sure.
even got better. I mean, episode by
Yeah.
episode, right? They
Hmm.
started off the first two, like the comedic timing for all of them was like a little rocky, and then it was like by the end, it was like, oh, he's got this. He's
Yeah.
Yeah,
clearly like
totally.
been learning. So that was cool.
It definitely seemed more natural towards the end, and I loved by far
Hmm.
episode 8 was my favorite, and it was
Oh
definitely a good
yeah.
way to just bring all these different worlds together, family wrestling, and even for people who don't watch wrestling, I'm sure they were really entertained by the show. So I'm sad that we have to finish, but we still have, yeah, Kelsey. I'm sure it
Yes.
gave you a different perspective, right?
Totally, totally, but I still loved it. I mean, like I said, it was like the first two, I was like, "What's happening here?" And then I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, wait, this is actually really funny." I wish I was like at home with my dad because it's one of those shows that, like,
Aw.
your dad would just die laughing, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, it wasn't
Mhm.
that funny. Like, calm down." It was like such a family show. I loved it. It was actually really good. By the end, I was like, "All right, I love this."
Yeah, it was so cute. But now we have to, that is it for episode 7
I
and 8. So
know.
now let's go
I
ahead and move
know.
on to our special segment.
Awesome. So we're gonna have our big show battle royale again. So there was in these last two episodes, there was lots of battles. There were some internal battles and then some
Mhm.
external battles with these characters. So we're gonna focus on this big match, the main event, where it's the big show and all of his dreams versus all the ladies in his life and his family. And this was a huge topic over the course of pretty much the whole season, but really specifically in these last two. And so again, we have him wanting to continue with WWE and try to balance that family life. And the ladies in his life are really upset by this. And so I want to hear your feedback on who you think won this match, or if it's gonna continue and it's not quite resolved.
Ooh.
Yeah, Bryant, what about you?
Mm.
We'll go with you first.
I would say the ladies won just in the aspect of like they were so justified in their feelings
Mm-hmm.
because the Big Show definitely they were so supportive of it, and the Big Show was like, I want to do this, and of course Cassie alluded to the fact that this could be your last run, and I'll support you in this moment. But they were so justified in their feelings of they all had something going on in their lives, and this was kind of something that's gonna not mess it up, but just make it really, really hard. So
Yeah.
I think they wanted the fact that they were just finding their feelings, especially Cassie, like above all of that. Like not only does she have to run her own business and start this business, but now she's running this family pretty much on her own. So I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kelsey, what about you? How do you feel about this big
I kinda
dilemma
felt
that they
like-
have?
I agree, but I also kind of feel like they all won. I mean, I think in the
Oh.
end, Big Show also realized like what his purpose now was, and the women ended up getting like they got what they wanted of him. They wanted him at home, and he was happy with that. So I mean, I think they all won.
They all won. I
Yeah,
like
I
that
think
one.
you
I like
agree.
that answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leslie, you agree?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, even though he loved wrestling so much, he knew that his new home is really being with the girls, especially with Lola, because she came and he had missed so many moments with her. So I think they both won this match, and everyone left happy because it was a happy ending.
Yay! I love it. I love happy endings.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Awesome. So then we have we talked about this a little bit, but one of the other matches in this episode was Mandy versus Taylor.
Ooh.
And they literally
Yeah.
had a debate. But they also
True.
had this philosophical match where, was Mandy in the right to, follow her dreams and kind of stick up for herself versus Taylor, who wanted all these like candy bars and ideas that weren't really in the plan that he created with Mandy. But then he also broke up in front of the whole
rude.
school, or part of the school, and friends and family. So again, we have a huge dilemma in this match. Leslie, what do you think about this, and who do you think won or didn't
It's
win?
hard. It's kind of hard because I really did love their little relationship. It's so cute in the beginning, but I gotta give it to Mandy. Girl power. She stood up for herself. She still followed her dreams, and she realized, like, hey, no, I deserve to speak up and say what I want. Yes, I don't agree with you. Oh well, you broke my heart. I'll deal with that later, but I'm still gonna win this, and she did win. So I think she definitely won this match.
Awesome. Do you all agree? The rest?
Yes,
I agree.
100%. Girl power.
100%.
I
Me
agree.
too. Me too.
I
That was
agree.
just like
I'm
a
like,
quick.
Down with men.
It was easy.
No if
I love it.
buts,
I love it. So, and then I feel like I'm going to know your answer, but we had another match in this episode where we have JJ and Mandy together, and then we have versus Bennett, who was like the evil assistant that that came and tried to throw them all off, give them a bunch of chores, blackmail them practically for this to keep this dog a secret. But then also JJ and Mandy obviously kept this dog a secret, caused some trouble in the household. Who do you think was in the wrong or the right in this matchup? Kelsey, we'll go with you.
So wrong.
Bennett. I know. I'm like,
Bennett.
I think all of us will be like, we hate
All of
Bennett.
them.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys all hate
Get
Bennett.
outta
All
here.
right.
Yeah.
We hate
So
Bennett.
We're there.
Girls won.
I'm gonna be in the middle here, and
Ooh.
I know. So I'm gonna say Bennett was in the wrong, but also I feel like these girls are old enough to do some chores around the house.
Sure.
To help the mom a
agree with
little
that.
bit.
I agree with
So
that.
I'm gonna say yes, Bennett was in the wrong, and the girls learned a lesson here. So I would say it's a mix here.
Yeah.
Contest.
I think we can all agree on these matches.
All
Yeah.
right.
Agreed.
So I want to know what the fans think, and
Yeah.
who you think won these matchups, and hopefully we'll have more in season 2.
Yeah, definitely
Yes.
let us know what you guys think. Leave us a comment. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We're still here for you guys and trying to distract you while, we're dealing with all of this. So make sure to leave us your comment and let us know who won all of these matches. But now that leads us to our news for this episode.
So, after stalking all of their Instagrams, I found a cute little gossipy thing that our girl, who we were so lucky to have on our first episode, Lily Brooks O'Brien, sent the Big Show some cookies, some WWE Big Show cookies. And you posted it, and it just says, "Thanks so much, Lily Brooks O'Brien, for the cool cookies." And it's so cute. I love it. I love they act like a family, even though they're not actually related. They're all so bonded and so close, and I just love that. It's so cute.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I saw that there was
That's
one.
adorable.
There was one with like Big Show's face on it. Like they drew Big Show on the cookie.
Oh, I'm sure
There's
he
one
loved that.
just his face, his
Yeah.
bald head. Yeah,
It's
I
so
love
cute
it.
too, because Big Show was on this episode of Raw, and then Lily
Mhm.
Brooks O'Brien actually posted on her Twitter. She was like, "That's my TV dad." I was like, "Oh, how cute!"
Oh, that's
Cute.
cute.
I love
So
it.
cute. I
Yeah,
love
if
it.
you watch wrestling, obviously the Big Show was there last night on Raw, so make sure you watch that because we all know it was there to also promote the show.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
it was really
For
cool.
sure.
I popped really hard. It was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. He did fulfill his dream. See, everyone got a happy ending.
So true. Beautiful.
Anything else, Kelsey, or is that it?
That was it. That was
Alrighty.
it. It was fun. Just stalked all their Instagrams.
That's cool. I think we're all gonna do that after this.
Right?
But now let's go ahead and move on to our last predictions. And in regards to predictions, so
And
wait for a little
now,
time.
your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. I just have one question for all of you. I want to start with you, Brian. Is there going to be a season 2 or not?
Yes, there better be. And I just think because we talked about it that there was supposed to be 10 episodes, or it was slated for 10 episodes. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that what they did was kind of like save those 2 episodes for a possible season 2. Or they kind of got busy with like production, something like that. But there's so much more to tell with this story of all these characters, so much more development. So I 100% think there's going to be season 2.
What about you, Emily? And what would you like to see?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I would love to see a season 2. I think we need to see more of Big Show kind of in his family element. He made this big decision of, not going back to WWE. So what does this mean for him? What kind of fun can he get into? And what is the thing that he's going to do outside of that wrestling world? So I feel like there's the girls, his daughters, have so much to do and to say, and they could do like 10 seasons of this, and it would be so much fun, and they could tell a million stories. So
Yeah,
I'm all for it, and I would love to see more.
for sure. What about you, Kelsey?
I want to see how JJ and her little minions progress. I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
see what mischief they stir up. I want to see that, and I also would love to see how Cassie and her business,
Yeah.
kind of take off. I feel like she's gonna have the girls help her with this business. I mean,
Yeah.
they've already been in the commercial, right? JJ's been to work. JJ knows what's up, so I want to see her do well, and I want to see what happens with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for
Lola has school, and like I want to know
Yeah.
I want to know what Mandy does. Like, is she gonna run for office
Yeah.
one day? Is she
Are
gonna
we gonna see Taylor again?
Yeah.
Taylor? Exactly. Like, what is her kind of high school life like?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
for
feel like
sure.
there's so much more there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely more moments like prom, and I'm sure there's gonna be
Totally.
like other promotions of the girls' lives. So definitely that, and I do want to see what other appearances by WWE wrestlers there could have been, because there's so much more. But with
And
that
more
being
Queer
said,
Eye guys? Can we bring
yes,
back more Queer Eye
exactly.
guys?
I was so
Yes.
happy to do this season with you guys. I appreciate
So
all of you
fun.
so much. Even especially our viewers, thank you for being with us during this time. So for the last time, sadly, until hopefully season 2, Kelsey, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on all social media at Kels Meyer 2. And then if you have been watching Home Before Dark, which you should because it's a great show on Apple TV, I'm on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. and then Friday night at 7 p.m. for the finale.
Ooh.
All right, Bryant, go ahead.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Bryant Santos, and also on the Friday Night SmackDown After Show, Women's Wrestling Weekly, and Quarantine with the Stars.
Ooh. So many.
Emily.
So you can find me on all social media platforms at Emily May Heller. You can also find me on Women's Wrestling Weekly on Wednesdays, Total Bellas on Fridays, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist on Sunday. If you are into
Ooh.
musicals, it's amazing. And then
Ooh.
also the For Life ABC drama after show on now Wednesday nights. So
Fun.
All right. And I am Leslie Cologne, and you can find me on all social media at Leslie Cologne _. And I am talking about Total Bellas. If you are a wrestling fan and a Divas fan, definitely check that out every Friday. Emily is on there with me, and Bryant will be
Yeah.
making some special appearances as well.
Cute.
So make sure you tune in for that. And we can't wait to see you guys in the future. So make sure, to still subscribe. But till then, see you later.
Thank you.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.